Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, LastKnownMeal here, and I really want to make another rant about indie games and indie developers, because recently I saw so many games and actually that are indie and indie games became really popular, I guess 2 or 3 years ago when they blew up, and when they got their chance on Steam through Greenlight and through early access. They were just amazing because a lot of ideas and a lot of games actually with amazing ideas, with like Fez, like this new game, A Story About My Uncle, which I think is freaking amazing. And that's an indie developer. Those guys, it's their first game, and this game is nothing but an indie title, and I love it. It's not some fancy ass studio like giving out games that are becoming really mainstream. Like, let's separate games. Like, you have indie games where majority of games are just amazing. They don't offer like amazing graphics like Battlefield and all that stuff, but again, they really make that awesome story and gameplay and idea, which, you know, I really enjoy playing those games. Majority of games I play now are indie, like The Swapper. That game is just flippin' amazing. I loved it. And like the graphical style, how they done it, it's just amazing, because they can't work with really awesome engines and stuff, but it's not really a big problem, because for me it was always about the gameplay. If the game is good, the graphics don't have to be something, you know, amazing. They could be okay. If the graphics are decent, if they're not Stone Age, and if they're really done nicely. I mean, there is a separation between, you know, games where graphics is just done terribly and where graphics is not really hardware intense, but it's still beautiful. And that's why, like I guess it was A Story About My Uncle, where they used Unreal Engine 3 and they made an amazing game and stuff. And The Swapper, they didn't use anything special, but again, they make a game which is beautiful and scary at the same moment, and really, you know, when you watch it and when you play it, it's just a unique experience. And then there you have like titles from, you know, big studios who just full of bugs and stuff and glitches. I mean, there are few good games from big studios, I'm not saying there aren't, but a lot of big studios actually just fell apart because they made a game, but it was, I mean, they had a budget for it, but the game was shit. And that's why I do believe that indie developers are the future of video games and the future of this whole you know, scene, gaming and tech scenes, because they have an ideas and they will actually grow from that independent little studio to something big with their ideas. They're going to create new games and fun games that actually we will play. And I know it's like really hard to say, but the majority of like big studios that are now will actually not exist in the future. Maybe they will exist, but they won't employ the same people. And those indie developers, those small developers, will actually go and become the big ones and actually take over, you know, the whole video game scene. But again, I think you'll actually agree with me how indie developers really try hard to make their game look amazing, because usually those games are their first, and they actually talk with gamers. They really, you know, post some different statuses on Facebook, or just you can go to their forums and stuff, and they will talk to you. And that's what I like. If our gamers actually implement it into the game development, and if they want to give some advices, as long as, you know, the development is running its course, if a gamer gives his opinion about the game and they can actually implement that opinion into the game itself and make the game even better, why not? Big studios won't do that. Big studios will just make same shit every year and expect you to play it. I won't. That's the thing. I will play that indie title. I mean, maybe let's say Fez wasn't a big game, but majority of people played it. Let's say one thing. Minecraft started out as a really small game, like one guy made it. And later he employed so many people and blah blah blah. Minecraft was a small game, eventually grew up what it is today. But yeah, as I said, indie developers had this chance, and they still have it. They have Steam, because through Steam you found out about so many games, and actually you can you are going and voting if that game is going to be on Steam. And eventually, if it's good, then it's going to find its way to Steam and other people will play it, and that studio will get some money to start another game. And if that game becomes good, believe me, they will grow big. Those studios will just bam, they will just boom out of the ground. But again, it's like really comes to this. If your game is good, you will succeed. If your game is bad, you will just, it doesn't matter how many games you put out. If those games are bad, your entire studio is either going to get crashed or adopted by some bigger studio. It's like, in this shitty economy, if you make a good game, you're at the top. But if you make just one bad game, you have a high chance of getting your studio closed, of getting some people from your studio go because you can't afford them, and basically you're gonna get adopted by a bigger studio, and that's where problems a little bit start, because those indie developers are not really independent anymore. Like, they are not indie developers anymore, because they have some bigger studio, bigger corporation that stands around them. Like, they say, hey, you need to release this game then, but that's in like a month. But you won't get any more money if you pass that date. You like have to hurry and your games become bad. And that's why I do believe that games become bad, because a bigger studio wants money, and because they want money that are invested, and basically they will give you a date, and you say, hey, give me 2 months and I'll make this game even better, it's going to sell better, and like they say no, and then they have to patch the game, and the game fails, and that entire studio fails. But guess what? That big studio nothing will happen to it, but that small studio is going to go down, like a Titanic down thing. But again, I do believe that independent developers should have that independency, which allow them to make an awesome game. Because if you have an idea, find some people and put it into a game. If you have an idea for a book, write it and release the book. It's going to sell well if your idea is amazing, like everything. So I do believe that indie games are the future, and indie games will actually save this video game crisis been going on recently, because a lot of shitty games are coming out and people are just, wow, we're not gonna play this, and a lot of studios are going down. And also, like, I don't know, like indie games, as I said, a lot of indie games, like majority of the titles had that amazing idea. Like Plague Inc was amazing, and it went out like an indie game. Plague Inc was just amazing. I loved it so much. Also Banished, if you don't know what Banished is, basically you make a village and it has to survive. It is basically a real-time strategy with survival elements. Basically your citizens can die, you can actually get poison and all that stuff. It's really like, let's say, Don't Starve on steroids. Like, that's it. And it's made by one guy in course of a 3 years period. It's made by one guy, and that game was just flippin' amazing. Some people love it, some hate it, but I generally love it because it brings me back. Like, when I play that, I have that nostalgia effect where I just see myself playing Stronghold or Age of Mythology. It's like that. And the graphics are nothing amazing. You won't see like CryEngine in that game, but still, I love it. And I don't know, like a lot of new indie games get that retro look, or just 2D cartoon looking look, graphic style. But again, I have nothing against it, as if it's done right, if it's not like, you can actually, as I said, you can see the difference between shitty graphics and graphics that are not really something amazing, but they're done properly. And that's why I believe that separates them, and that's why if I see a 2D cartoon looking game, if it's done correctly, I don't really care. I don't really care, because I already played those games with amazing graphics. They were bad. Yeah, they were really bad. I want to play these games that have amazing story and mechanics and blah blah blah. A Tale of Two Brothers, amazing game. Again, indie title. Like, a lot of titles are indie and they're just amazing. I do believe that you guys will agree with me. So that was a little bit of a rant about that. In the background, you have a story about my uncle video game. It's basically really amazing. Like, imagine Portal and Mirror's Edge in one game. It's really fun. It's you basically have this hook and you have to go through the level, and it's really adrenaline. It gives you that adrenaline boost every time you like jump and all that stuff. But you can try it on. I left all the links down below so you can try out that game. It's actually $13 or 13 euros on Steam, or 12. I think 12 euros actually on Steam. So check that out and try it. It's just amazing. So guys, don't forget to actually smash that like and subscribe button, because I'll be posting more of these videos. And don't forget actually to comment down below and tell me what you think about the indie titles, and do you like playing indie games, because I do. I think they're flippin' amazing. And yeah, that was probably everything. LastKnownMeal signing out, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.